So I've got a new project here. Gonna finish my shop. So it's gonna be called the Rusty Shop. Building it here. Working on it. So this is a door, believe it or not. The size of this thing. So it's 9 feet tall, 4.5 feet wide, and this is one of two. It's why so big and why so thick? So I got 6-inch wall or 6-inch thickness for insulation, and it's so wide and so tall because then I can get anything through there. You know. Can't buy doors that size or specific to how I want them, so I'm gonna make them. So all this foam down in here was up here, and then what was happening is the mice or rodents or whatever, they figured out that they could tunnel through the foam and get out into the shed. So we're in the process of chipping away all the foam down about 3 inches from the top here, and then we're going to go around and pour concrete in all this. That's a lot of extra work. I wish I wouldn't have put the foam in there like that.
Is it warm? Yeah.
So cutting the pink hard foam, I looked online and they said, you know, use a hot knife. That's the best way to do it. So I made myself a hot knife. Connected to my soldering gun like that, and then I sharpened the blade down here, made it a little thinner, and as you can see, it's got pink stuff on it. It was doing it, but it was really slow, and we had several hundred feet to do, so that was a failure. Next, we did, one of these oscillating blades. Tried the chisel tip one here. That actually cut it pretty good, going straight down, but you really couldn't get this thing in there to the right depth to clean out the little channel that we were trying to do. Everything was too slow. So what I ended up doing is I just put a really sharp tip on our pry bar into the foam. The foam's like this deep. You know, we're shooting for about 3 inches of depth. We're cutting out of the foam below floor level. So I was expecting that job to take me a week. My son did it in 2 visits. So that was awesome. We found the right technique for that. All right, we got number 2 started. Call it a night. You gotta go play pickleball. We're making a funnel. Or what do you call that? A trough.
Concrete chute.
Concrete chute. Yeah. Concrete chute. Home Depot. My arm is shaking a little bit. A little lumber to load. Okay, 2x6s are home. Got to get them into the shed. My son helped me collect all these, I call them barn wood, all this, all that there. It's actually cedar fencing that's been around a while, so it's kind of weathered. It's going to be some nice stuff to put on the walls. So it actually came from an abandoned house that was going to be torn down, so we went and collected all the fencing from that area. Here's how we got that.
Good. Oh, this one's got 2x6s on it.
Well, it's been so cold out, didn't feel like doing much work on this for the last probably 3 weeks. Nice and warm today. I almost hit 50, I think. So I'm back at the doors. I had a little issue. I got all the framing done, and then it sat for 3 weeks, so it must have shrunk funny. My doors actually were straight, and then right towards the end down here, they kind of went like, they took a 90-degree turn for about, they were about 1.5 inches off center. So it's like, how do I get that straight? Because these are doors, I don't want them all crooked. So what I did, so what I ended up doing is, because the plywood was going to hold it straight, but I had to get the framework straight first before I put the plywood on. Here's my pivot point right here. Got a strap here, and I got a strap here. And then everything's going over to my my little blue car, hook into that. The pivot point's hitting the tire, the cables are hooked to the frame, and then I was able to pull it, and I lucked out. It's like, how much do I need to go? And click, 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 click. That feels about right. Come over here, measure it. That's all I had to do. So what we've got going here, my own invention. So I was reading about insulation, and I decided to take into account what they call thermal break or thermal bridging. So I originally we were gonna divide this section up into here, so when we blow the insulation in, we have basically this chamber, and it's not going to be 13 feet of chamber, and then it's going to settle. I'm going to break it into small bits like this, so we can just fill that up. Well, I was originally just going to put a 2x6 right here on my purlin, right out to the end of the edge of the post here. And then I got thinking or reading about bridging or thermal bridging, and that 2x6 doesn't, I forget what the insulation value is, the R value, which is resistance, I believe, isn't very much. So it's going to be a bridge there for the heat to go through. So what I ended up doing, I got the purlin, I got a 2-inch thick piece of pink foam, a 1.5-inch thick piece of pink foam, and then my 2x4, and then that gets it close enough to my my post here, close enough to the post, so then my plywood will go on here. So by doing it this way, it's more work. I think it's more money, but I got this is an R10, the 2-inch stuff. The 1.5 is a R7, and this is, I don't know, there's a little R value there, so it's getting pretty close to the same R value as the blow-in stuff. And yeah, then the only real transfer or bridging I have of thermal is right here. This little block where the purlins meet the back of the posts. This is fun. Did you guys see that? What's this? Whoa! So why was I doing the pink board bouncing? Because it's kind of fun. And since we're gluing between them and trying to draw them up tight, I didn't want a bunch of the foam chunks. Those are hard to deal with. They magnetized everything, or static electricity to everything. So it worked kind of good to bounce them off the ground. So I got my window framed in, so I got something for the plywood to nail to there all the way around. All right, we're gonna call it quits for this episode. We got a lot of stuff coming up though. We gotta go over insulation, mini splits, wiring, what we're gonna cover the walls with, or how we're gonna do that, how we're gonna cover the ceiling, the framing, man. So it's gonna be a few different episodes on this one, but it's fun. It's gonna be a fun one. Oh, and I forgot to mention too, it's raining, and we're supposed to get a little bit of a storm tonight. So I think we're gonna have 2 or 4 or plus inches, and kind of windy. So we'll see. It's always fun to get some snow. But when it starts out with rain and then goes and freezes, and then you get the snow, driving can be pretty hectic. Oh, so here's my parts for my my sign. There's the center section, outside section, part of the parts,